In the serene, affluent community of Boulder, Colorado, Christmas 1996 dawned with a blanket of snow and the promise of festive cheer. Yet, for one family, this morning would be irrevocably shattered, transforming their world into a nightmare. JonBenét Ramsey, a 6-year-old girl known for her sparkling pageant crowns and bright smile, vanished from her bed. Her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, awoke to an unthinkable horror. Their daughter was gone, and a chilling ransom note lay waiting on their kitchen staircase, setting off a chain of events that would baffle investigators and captivate the nation for decades to come. This is the story of a mystery that endures. The Ramseys were a prominent family in Boulder. John Ramsey, a successful businessman, was the president of Access Graphics, a computer services company. Patsy Ramsey, a former beauty queen herself, was a devoted mother and homemaker, deeply involved in her children's lives. JonBenét, their youngest child, had quickly become a fixture in the local child pageant circuit, a world of glitter and grace. Her older brother, Burke, was 9 years old at the time. Their lives, once seemingly idyllic, were about to be thrust into an unforgiving spotlight, under the weight of an unimaginable crime and public scrutiny. Patsy Ramsey discovered the ransom note on the kitchen staircase shortly after 5 a.m. on December 26. It was 3 pages long, written on a pad of paper found within the Ramsey home, using one of Patsy's pens. The note demanded $118,000 for JonBenét's safe return, an oddly specific amount, later speculated to match a bonus John Ramsey had recently received. The handwriting was intricate, and the language verbose, filled with dramatic, almost cinematic flourishes, which immediately raised red flags for investigators. This was no ordinary ransom demand; its peculiarity would become a central enigma. Upon finding the note and realizing JonBenét was missing, Patsy Ramsey immediately called 911 at 5:52 a.m. The dispatcher advised her to search the house. During the call, John Ramsey could be heard in the background. The early hours were chaotic, filled with a desperate search and the dawning realization of a profound crisis. Patsy's distressed voice on the recording conveyed a mother's terror, but would later be scrutinized for its emotional pitch and perceived inconsistencies. This urgent call marked the official beginning of a police investigation that would soon draw intense scrutiny. Soon after the 911 call, Boulder police officers arrived at the Ramsey home. However, crucial early decisions regarding crime scene preservation would later draw heavy criticism. Instead of immediately securing the entire house as a potential crime scene, friends and family members were allowed to gather, waiting for the supposed ransom call. This unintentional contamination of the scene compromised potential evidence, scattering footprints and fingerprints and making it incredibly difficult to later differentiate between innocent traces and crucial clues related to the crime. This early misstep proved to be a lasting problem. The ransom note's language was deeply unsettling and highly unusual for a typical kidnapping. It referred to a foreign faction and a small group of individuals, demanding an exact amount of money. The author's verbose, almost theatrical prose, with phrases like "we respect your business" and "don't try to grow a brain," immediately struck investigators as peculiar. Its cinematic style and melodramatic tone suggested an attempt to mislead or project a fabricated image of the perpetrator. This linguistic oddity became a central enigma, analyzed by experts attempting to discern the author's true intent and identity. As the morning unfolded, friends and family gathered at the Ramsey home, as instructed by the ransom note, to await a phone call. After several hours, and with no call received, Detective Linda Arndt asked John Ramsey to search the house, specifically the basement, one more time, to see if anything seemed amiss. It was there, around 1:05 p.m., that John Ramsey made the horrific discovery. In a small, rarely used wine cellar room, he found JonBenét's body, covered by a white blanket. This tragic discovery immediately shifted the investigation from a kidnapping to a murder, deepening the horror and complexity of the case. The specific location where JonBenét's body was found added another layer of complexity. It was a small, rarely used wine cellar room within the Ramseys' large basement, typically secured with a latch. This room was not frequently visited by the family. The discovery of her body there, particularly after the elaborate ransom note, raised questions about how she came to be in such a secluded spot and whether the note was a deliberate red herring. The intimate nature of the location, within the family's own home, further fueled theories of an inside job and challenged the validity of the kidnapping premise. JonBenét was found with duct tape over her mouth, a cord around her neck, and her wrists bound. The cord was attached to a garrote, crudely fashioned from a paintbrush handle. The method of her death, the binding, and the garrote suggested a level of premeditation and violence that shocked even veteran investigators. Furthermore, the location of the body within the family's own home, despite the initial ransom note, pointed to an increasingly perplexing scenario, challenging conventional crime analysis. The scene presented a puzzle of contradictory elements, each piece adding to the mystery. The autopsy later confirmed JonBenét had died from strangulation and a severe skull fracture. The head injury was consistent with a blow from a heavy object, possibly the flashlight found in the kitchen. There was also evidence of sexual assault. These findings painted a picture of extreme violence, suggesting a struggle. The specific details revealed by the medical examination provided crucial forensic data, yet they also compounded the horror of the crime, demanding answers that the fragmented crime scene and conflicting theories struggled to provide. The autopsy report underscored the brutality of her final moments. A significant point of contention in the investigation has always been the initial handling of the crime scene. Before JonBenét's body was discovered, numerous friends and family members were allowed into the house, and police officers moved freely throughout the premises. This lack of stringent crime scene preservation, especially in the early hours, led to widespread concerns about potential contamination of evidence. Crucial forensic traces may have been inadvertently destroyed or compromised, making it incredibly difficult for investigators to reconstruct the sequence of events with certainty and potentially obscuring vital clues. The murder of JonBenét Ramsey quickly became a national obsession. A young, beautiful child, a wealthy family, a bizarre ransom note, and a perplexing crime scene, these elements fueled an intense media frenzy. Tabloids, news channels, and true crime shows alike descended upon Boulder, dissecting every detail, speculating wildly, and often creating narratives that further complicated the investigation. The Ramseys found themselves at the center of this storm, their grief compounded by relentless public scrutiny and widespread accusations, turning their private tragedy into a very public spectacle that continues to resonate today. From the outset, investigators focused heavily on the Ramsey family themselves, John, Patsy, and Burke. The absence of forced entry into the home, the discovery of the body within the house, and the unusual nature of the ransom note all pointed towards a potential inside job. The family's initial reluctance to undergo extensive questioning separately, and their hiring of high-profile defense attorneys, further deepened suspicions in the public eye. While this is common advice for those facing criminal investigation, it was interpreted by many as an indication of guilt, placing them squarely under suspicion for years. Patsy Ramsey, a former beauty queen and loving mother, became a central figure in the public's theories. Her background in pageants, her known calligraphy skills, and inconsistencies perceived in her early statements led some to believe she authored the ransom note. The specific amount of the ransom, $118,000, which matched John's work bonus, was also a detail that pointed towards an intimate knowledge of the family's finances. Patsy consistently denied any involvement, maintaining her innocence until her death. Despite intense scrutiny, no definitive evidence ever linked her directly to the murder or the note's authorship. Burke Ramsey, then 9 years old, was also in the house at the time of the murder. His initial interviews with investigators were notoriously difficult, as is often the case with children experiencing trauma. Later, theories emerged suggesting Burke might have accidentally caused JonBenét's death, possibly due to a dispute over food, and that his parents then covered it up. Burke vehemently denied these allegations in later public appearances, and he was never charged. The family maintained he was asleep throughout the events, unaware of the tragedy unfolding just rooms away, further complicating the narrative of that fateful night. One intriguing piece of evidence was a bowl of pineapple found on the kitchen table, along with a spoon. An autopsy revealed pineapple in JonBenét's digestive system, suggesting she had eaten it shortly before her death. Patsy Ramsey initially claimed she had not given JonBenét pineapple that night, and John Ramsey stated Burke was the one who liked pineapple. This detail became a point of contention, feeding into the theory that someone within the household had been awake and offered JonBenét a snack, perhaps leading to an altercation. It was a seemingly minor detail that loomed large in the absence of clear answers. The crude garrote used to strangle JonBenét was constructed from a piece of cord and a paintbrush handle, both traced back to items found within the Ramsey home. A large, heavy flashlight, found on the kitchen counter, also became a point of interest. It was speculated to be the weapon used to inflict the severe head trauma JonBenét suffered. The fact that these potential weapons originated from the Ramseys' own house further strengthened the inside job theory, making it harder for investigators to definitively point to an outside intruder. The domestic nature of the tools was deeply disturbing. A critical piece of evidence, or rather the lack thereof, was the absence of any forced entry points into the Ramsey home. All doors and windows appeared to be securely locked from the inside. This suggested that whoever committed the crime either had a key, was let in by someone inside, or gained entry through an unsecured point that was later resecured. The lack of a clear break-in complicated the intruder theory significantly, pushing investigators and the public towards the possibility that the perpetrator was someone known to the family or, disturbingly, a family member themselves. Despite the focus on the family, an alternative, and persistent, intruder theory gained traction. Proponents argued that a pedophile or a disgruntled former employee could have broken into the home. They pointed to a partially open basement window and a broken basement door latch as potential entry points. The bizarre ransom note, with its foreign faction references, was also cited as evidence against family involvement, suggesting an attempt to misdirect. This theory provided a counter-narrative, painting the Ramseys as victims rather than perpetrators, and highlighted the potential for an unknown assailant in the quiet community. Perhaps the most significant development in the case came with the analysis of DNA evidence. Touch DNA, found under JonBenét's fingernails and on her underwear, was identified as belonging to an unknown male. This DNA profile did not match John, Patsy, or Burke Ramsey. This crucial finding provided tangible evidence supporting the intruder theory and significantly complicated the narrative of family involvement. For many, it represented the most compelling proof that an outside assailant was responsible, directly challenging the initial focus of the investigation. The search for this unknown male remains ongoing. In 1999, a grand jury was convened to hear evidence in the JonBenét Ramsey case. After 13 months of testimony, the grand jury voted to indict John and Patsy Ramsey on charges related to child abuse resulting in death and being accessories to a crime. However, the district attorney at the time, Alex Hunter, chose not to sign the indictment, citing insufficient evidence to secure a conviction. This decision was highly controversial, leaving many to wonder about the precise findings of the grand jury and contributing to further public confusion and mistrust in the handling of the case. The specific reasons remain largely shrouded in secrecy. The intense scrutiny and public accusations took a severe psychological toll on John and Patsy Ramsey. Beyond the profound grief of losing their daughter, they faced relentless media vilification, suspicion from law enforcement, and a polarized public opinion. This constant pressure, combined with the unresolved nature of the crime, created a unique and agonizing form of trauma. Their attempts to reclaim their reputation were met with skepticism, leaving them in a perpetual state of mourning and defense. The emotional scars of the case ran deep, affecting every aspect of their lives indefinitely. The Ramsey family's public image suffered immensely. Their wealth, their pageant lifestyle, and their initial decision to communicate primarily through their attorneys rather than with the police fueled negative perceptions. They gave numerous interviews over the years, attempting to clear their names, but often, their carefully worded statements or emotional outbursts were met with skepticism. They faced constant vilification in the media and from a segment of the public convinced of their guilt. This public trial by media significantly impacted their lives, far beyond the legal challenges they faced. In June 2006, Patsy Ramsey passed away at the age of 49 after a long battle with ovarian cancer. Her death meant that she would never see the case resolved, nor would she ever be definitively cleared in the public's eyes. Before her passing, she had continually asserted her innocence and expressed her hope that the true killer would be found. Her death added another layer of tragedy to the already complex narrative and removed a key figure from any potential future legal proceedings or interviews, leaving her unanswered questions to linger indefinitely. 2 years after Patsy's death, in 2008, the Boulder District Attorney's Office formally exonerated the Ramsey family. Based on advancements in DNA testing technology, particularly the sophisticated analysis of the unknown male DNA found at the crime scene, District Attorney Mary Lacey sent a letter to John Ramsey stating that his family was exonerated in JonBenét's death. This was a monumental shift in the investigation, publicly validating the Ramseys' long-held stance of innocence and officially shifting the focus squarely onto the search for the unidentified male DNA contributor. In the years following the exoneration, Burke Ramsey, who had largely remained out of the public eye, filed several defamation lawsuits. He sued CBS, Dr. Werner Spitz, and others for publishing theories that implicated him in his sister's murder. These lawsuits resulted in large settlements, effectively vindicating Burke against the accusations. His willingness to take legal action highlighted the lasting damage and trauma inflicted by the intense public speculation and media narratives, underscoring the severe personal cost borne by the surviving members of the Ramsey family. Despite the exoneration of the Ramsey family, the case remains officially unsolved. The Boulder Police Department continues to investigate, with the DNA evidence being the primary focus. New forensic technologies offer persistent hope that the unknown male DNA profile can eventually lead to an identification. Over the decades, countless theories, books, documentaries, and internet forums have tried to piece together the fragments of evidence, but no definitive answer has emerged. The murder of JonBenét Ramsey stands as a stark reminder of a profound tragedy without a resolution. The JonBenét Ramsey murder left an indelible mark on the seemingly idyllic community of Boulder, Colorado. The city, known for its progressive values and stunning natural beauty, suddenly found itself grappling with a dark, international spotlight. The case shattered the community's sense of security and sparked deep divisions, as residents debated the family's guilt or innocence, and questioned the effectiveness of local law enforcement. For years, the crime cast a shadow over Boulder, becoming synonymous with a perplexing and tragic mystery that redefined its public image. The JonBenét Ramsey case quickly transcended local headlines, becoming a global phenomenon. Its combination of elements, a child beauty queen, an affluent family, a puzzling crime scene, and a prolonged, inconclusive investigation, captured the imagination and outrage of people worldwide. From tabloids in Europe to news broadcasts in Asia, the mystery was dissected, debated, and discussed. This international fascination highlighted the universal appeal of true crime narratives, but also placed immense pressure on investigators and the family, turning their personal nightmare into an unprecedented public spectacle without borders. JonBenét Ramsey was just 6 years old. Her life, filled with childhood innocence and the promise of a future, was brutally cut short. Beyond the sensational headlines and forensic debates, her story is a profound human tragedy. She was a vibrant little girl who loved to perform, ride her bike, and play with her brother. The focus on the circumstances of her death often overshadows the life she lived, a life remembered by her family and friends for its joy and light. Her memory serves as a poignant reminder of the ultimate victim in this enduring mystery. For nearly 3 decades, the JonBenét Ramsey murder has been a relentless pursuit of justice. Detectives, forensic scientists, journalists, and amateur sleuths have dedicated countless hours to unraveling the truth. Each new piece of technology, each renewed interest from the media, brings a flicker of hope that the unknown male DNA will finally yield an answer. Yet, the case remains stubbornly opaque, a testament to its singular complexity. The quest continues, driven by the profound need to identify JonBenét's killer and bring closure to a case that has defied solution for far too long. One of the enduring frustrations for the public and some investigators is the amount of information that remains officially sealed or unreleased. Grand jury transcripts, full police reports, and certain forensic details have largely been kept from public view. While intended to protect the integrity of the ongoing investigation, this secrecy has also fueled speculation and conspiracy theories. It leaves many feeling that the full story has never been told, and that critical pieces of the puzzle might still be hidden within official archives, awaiting discovery or a change in policy, perpetuating the mystery. The JonBenét Ramsey case has created a lasting divide in public opinion. Some firmly believe the family was involved, citing the peculiarities of the crime scene and the initial behavior of the Ramseys. Others are equally convinced that an intruder was responsible, pointing to the crucial DNA evidence and the general lack of definitive proof linking the family to the murder. This binary division reflects the ambiguities of the case, where every piece of evidence can be interpreted through different lenses, leading to entrenched, often passionate, opposing viewpoints that persist to this day. The JonBenét Ramsey investigation has become a case study in how not to handle a high-profile crime scene. The early contamination, the conflicting statements, and the initial missteps have been analyzed and critiqued by law enforcement agencies worldwide. It highlighted the critical importance of immediate, stringent crime scene preservation, swift isolation of witnesses, and the need for clear communication strategies in complex investigations. While a tragic learning experience, the case has, in some ways, contributed to the evolution of modern forensic practices and cold case protocols. Years after the initial investigation, the ransom note continues to be a subject of intense scrutiny. Forensic linguists and handwriting experts have offered various interpretations, some pointing to a female author, others suggesting attempts to disguise handwriting, and still others speculating it was intended as a distraction. Its detailed, theatrical prose and peculiar demands remain unparalleled in most crime annals. Despite extensive analysis, the note has yet to definitively reveal the identity of its author, standing as one of the most enigmatic pieces of evidence in this deeply perplexing murder. John Ramsey, having lost both his daughter and his wife, has become an advocate for cold case investigations and better forensic practices. He has spoken out publicly about the need to invest in advanced DNA technologies and to ensure that cases like JonBenét's receive continued attention. His unwavering belief in an intruder and his family's innocence has driven his efforts to keep the case alive in the public consciousness, hoping that new insights or scientific breakthroughs will ultimately lead to the identification and apprehension of his daughter's killer. His journey from grieving father to advocate is poignant. Time, while healing for some wounds, only deepens the mystery for others. With each passing year, memories fade, potential witnesses become harder to locate, and physical evidence can degrade. Yet, for cold cases like JonBenét's, time also brings advancements in forensic science, particularly DNA analysis. The challenge lies in balancing the erosion of conventional evidence with the emergence of new technological capabilities. The passage of time transforms the investigation from a sprint to a marathon, a testament to the perseverance required to solve the most enduring enigmas, keeping hope alive. In recent years, there have been renewed calls from the public and even JonBenét's family for the Boulder Police Department to utilize advanced genetic genealogy techniques. These methods, which have successfully solved other cold cases, could potentially match the unknown DNA profile to distant relatives, leading investigators closer to the perpetrator. The Boulder police maintain that they are actively working on the case, but the perceived lack of progress fuels a desire for more aggressive and innovative investigative approaches. The pressure to finally bring closure grows with each passing anniversary. The phantom of the unseen killer continues to loom large over the JonBenét Ramsey case. Is the male DNA profile from an opportunistic intruder, a disturbed individual known tangentially to the family, or someone still living in anonymity, harboring a dark secret? The possibility that the perpetrator has walked free for decades, evading justice, is a chilling thought that underscores the profound impact of this unsolved crime. Until that DNA yields a name, the identity of JonBenét's killer remains one of America's most elusive and haunting questions, a shadow cast over generations. JonBenét Ramsey's short life and tragic death have left a complex legacy. She is remembered not just as a beauty queen, but as the face of an enduring mystery. Her story has sparked countless conversations about child safety, the ethics of true crime reporting, and the vulnerabilities of families caught in such a horrific spotlight. Her legacy is a plea for justice, a reminder that behind every sensational headline is a child whose potential was stolen, and a family forever altered. The search for answers continues, fueled by her memory and the hope for truth. Despite the passage of decades, the hope for resolution in the JonBenét Ramsey case persists. Advancements in forensic science continue to offer new avenues for investigation, making it possible to revisit old evidence with fresh eyes and sophisticated tools. The tireless dedication of cold case detectives, combined with public interest and advocacy, ensures that JonBenét's case is not forgotten. While the pain of her loss remains, the possibility of identifying her killer, even after so long, offers a glimmer of hope for justice and closure, however delayed, for all involved, promising an end to this long night. The story of JonBenét Ramsey is not merely a historical crime, it is an unfolding narrative. Each year brings new documentaries, theories, and technological capabilities that reshape our understanding. The case demonstrates how deeply a single, tragic event can embed itself in the cultural consciousness, prompting ongoing debate and a relentless search for truth. For those who seek answers, the JonBenét Ramsey case remains a potent symbol of unsolved mysteries and the enduring human desire for justice, a narrative that continues to evolve, awaiting its final, definitive chapter.